Well, it's that time of the month again, is it? Well, say no more, because I've been thinking about such topics in the Twist community, where I would talk about from the cast in other video game worlds to how the plot of Epic Mickey is involved in Twist. Well, I decided to throw my hat in the ring to make something special around here, but something caught my eye while making this presentation, so why not give the boys a chance in trading cards? This is Twisted Wonderland in Lorcana TCG. Riddle Rose Hearts. This card is more into Emerald, but his ability is based on his signature spell, which makes sure enemies cannot attack until the next turn, which can lead to your Glimmers farming for lore safely. If Queen of Hearts Capricious Monarch is played after Dorm Riddle, then she can attack whenever she wants, even if you're on the late game, that is. If you want some way to attack your opponent's wrist and gain an edge in combat, then this might be for you. Ace Trapola. So at the time of recording this video, let's just say Ace doesn't have any. I'm sorry. But anyways, while he doesn't have any signature spell, he is somewhat of a loose cannon since he has such an explodey head thanks to his challenger ability. However, he can keep up the fight by pairing up Deuce and would write ready Glimmers directly like steel cards. If you actually have the Card Soldier's Spear card on him, he might take on most Glimmers with more willpower, yet he's okay in my opinion. Deuce Spade. As we go on throughout this presentation, because of the translations on what each signature spell's name is, I'll explain more as we go on, but for now, Deuce is really that much supportive to Ace, and all of Heartsoul, but not much to fight against the meta. Given the fact that he is an honor student, his card brings much more aggro to the table if you happen to fight him. If you can avoid him in fights more often with your best Emerald decks to weaken him, then he won't be much of an annoyance when farming for lore. Cater Diamond. He specializes in more and more of his clones, like his signature spell, and the more the merrier, right? Well, since his ability is useful for Amber or Amethyst cards, I'd say to make up for it, his second ability lets him have more damage as long as he has more of his own, making sure to protect one character card from another. If you have Be Prepared in the late game, then you'll be fine, but if not, then be actually prepared to get annoyed by a ton of them, even if you're using Steel and Amber cards. Trey Clover. Unlike the other Heartsoul characters we talked about, Trey is more supportive than the other Ruby cards, but take for instance when his abilities can actually grant them much more strength. Although if you use him on, let's say, Card Soldiers, Royal Troops, he can challenge other Glimmers with an added +2 strength. Not to mention, his second ability gives his strength to only Heartsoul characters, which is fine. He'll be worth your time if you're never too late to paint the roses. Leona King Scholar. While he doesn't like a challenge nor being that he is aggressive for evasive Glimmers, he rather would be getting rid of overpowered cards like Taka Elemental Terror, or even Mickey Mouse Giant Mouse, thanks to his ability which would emulate how his King's Roar would do, which would only works if you have Scar in play. Just like him, he has evasive, which would make him a high utility based card to deal with. If Chenya would be king, that would make Leona a monkey's uncle, but in Lorcana, he would become king and not care one bit. Ruggy Butchie. If you're a fan of Hyena decks, then this wouldn't be a problem. An Amber Emerald deck could take some time to get used to, but while I have seen most common cards with support in other decks, Ruggy isn't useful to Savannah Claw characters, but he makes up for it with support at most. If you have a lot of Hyenas in your deck, use Ruggy to have other Hyenas combo well with each other. This is one card that even cards like Rafiki Mystical Fighter couldn't handle. Jack Howl. His ability, while referencing that he can turn into a wolf thanks to his signature spell, can not only make opponents discard cards, but also the fact that he protects his dorm similar to Deuce, and how he is respected throughout Twist as a whole. This is why he has the bodyguard keyword, and he is basically just a better version of Daisy Duck Musketeer Spy, with the "You Have Forgotten Me" action card. Likewise, a better way of countering it is to not have any cards, or let alone have as much as in your hand, which Emerald players will want in their decks. Azul Ashen Grotto. Similar to Ursula's cards with the Singer keyword and some way of mixing resources, he utilizes much more into drawing cards, and besides, he makes deals like his signature spell, so being that his ability can be applied to Lorcana, I believe Amethyst Sapphire decks running with this card would be amazing, and let alone useful if you focus on ramping and top decking before your opponent does. Naturally, to kick things off, his singer ability sings songs that cost up to 7 ink, so imagine if he gets played early only to call in a Be Prepared song card, which is a basic wipe on everyone's Glimmer cards. Trust me, he might be a force to be reckoned with. Jade Leech. Okay, this is a mouthful for the next two, so keep up on this one. For Flotsam and Jetsam decks, this might be amazing to look into because using his Shock the Heart ability would make opponents tell the truth, and fast with the Rush keyword. Not only do you get to have any character return to your hand, but also if Jetsam is in play, you can draw a card which can let you top deck more often. If only Jade can help Floyd out by giving him Evasive, or even Rush. But speaking of which, Floyd Leech. Unlike his brother giving Rush or Evasive as his ability, that would be Flotsam and Jetsam's job to do so. Instead, Floyd would do the honors of playing Jade Leech for free, and give both the Eels Rush and Evasive. So when you combo with Flotsam and Jetsam Entangling Eels, then obviously it wouldn't be too confusing nor shocking. Just amusing. Kaleem Al-Asim. Being a protective rich prince he is, he's protected of Jamil, which references that he is best friends with him, so giving him bodyguard and support, he isn't that much broken, so his ability, Oasis Maker, grants protection from other stronger late game cards. He is basically your best tank for fighting glimmers with high strength, so do be aware of that. Jamil Viper. This one's sort of a hard one, but since there are different sayings on what his signature spell is, I don't know what to call it if he had two abilities, which explains his rarity. So I decided to go with Snake Charmer and Hypnotic Control, since his spell references how Jafar does his magic on his opponent. With all that aside, he is somewhat okay, as long as Jafar is actually keeping an eye on him. I don't know, he might be that good, as long as you make your opponents fight each other. Veil Schoenheit. Being poisoned to the core, he has one ability paying homage to a signature spell, and the other for a simple card draw like the Magic Mirror item. For gameplay wise, he is really perfect with Amethyst Sapphire decks, because if you combo it into the Evil Queen, you get to exert items, which means your opponents can't use them until the start of their next turn, and the same can be said for Glimmers, who can't lore. This card may also be absolutely beautiful, but only if you would tend to draw more cards. Apple Felmir. Apple is made for decks with Palm Fury characters that want to challenge Evasive Glimmers, and being the only Twist character that doesn't have any lore in which he can copy any character's lore early to form. So to my surprise, imagine if you played Simba, Scrappy Cub early to quest him, then Apple after that. Once these two quest for lore, you'll have to keep up quickly, otherwise you'll lose in less than approximately 5 turns. Rook Hunt. Like Apple and Jamil when it comes to two abilities, I debated that if I wanted to put in different names of their signature spells, but anything goes at that point. So for Rook, he gets to have the same ability as Merlin Crab, while having another support, his dorm only to cherish his idol, Vil. Shadabium! He looks so radiant, but I hope that he doesn't put a target on certain glimmers for aggro plays. Idia Shroud. Like Hades' Infernal Schemer, you get to put an opposing character into their inkwell, which is fine, but however, he instead does it up to 3 of them, which only works if Hades is in play. To be honest, I wanted to try and make up a new ability that can match his signature spell more precisely, but I opted to work around with this because you can choose the glimmers to be out of play at the cost of them having more ink than you. It's possible to counter it like before, but also early to try out since he may be mostly broken, and that's game, set, and match. Ortho Shroud. Now don't get me wrong, while being Idia's little brother, he still packs a punch as I try my best to make it more suitable and more into ramping with the cards that you don't want. This is great for cards with uninkable symbols, and mostly OP, the more ink in your inkwell thanks to a second ability. Ortho might be a force to be reckoned with a lot more, and overall pretty broken in the meta. Malleus Draconia. You all thought any Maleficent Glimmers was? Well, think again, because his ability, like his signature spell, is to make sure every location your opponent has in play never gain lore at the end of each turn. You can use this opportunity to leave most locations as distractions out of play, and it could lead to many late game combos you can work yourself towards. Plus, with any Maleficent Glimmer now having Ward in play as well, it seems his blessing will always be a good one. Silver. While some theories say that he is actually based off of Aurora from Sleeping Beauty, I feel like he isn't that much, and for his ability, it's no joke his evasive keyword makes up for how noble of a knight he is. Having decent stats at first, if you have too many actions in play in the early game, he can actually put up a fight than any other Emerald Glimmer since he gains +2 strength per action. Want a tougher fight while gaining some dreamy sleeping lore? Then this might be for those who run into Night Glimmers. Sebek Zigvolt. While quick and agile with his Living Bolt signature spell, then this character might shock you with his ability, because you can make your opponent discard cards, and unlike other Glimmers with that similar ability, if an opponent actually doesn't discard any cards, or at least 2, then he gets a massive 7 strength and willpower in total. They will regret this because he has 1 lore. Only some Ruby Glimmers can get the job done regardless, but other than that, try adding ways to make them discard cards, and they'll be standing tall in front of Sebek's Liege. Lastly, Lilia Vang Rouge. Well, last up is a card unlike any other, so what better way to show Lilia how he gives support he needs for the Insomnia characters. While he does have the mentor classification showing in the story that he used to be a war general in the past, but naturally, he prefers to make the tactical retreat, or a strategy dodge, like the action card Dodge. While barely referencing anything though, this is somewhat of an okay card. Sorry Lilia fans. Here's a bonus. I'll be going over this specific card as well, since Grimm is a part of Ramshackledorn. Mickey, on the other hand, has a lot of Lorcana cards, so why not add one based on this topic? Like Flotsam and Jetsam's cards, these two happen to mix well in most decks, with Mickey Mouse, and sometimes it's actually best to use it while farming for some cheap glimmers to play around with your army, growing to farm lore and attack other glimmers. Pretty much well said, but if you have any Mickeys in your deck, it should be fine. And speaking of Mickeys, this Mickey Mouse card is a special one because it is actually not too broken, but rather constructed focused on ramping. What makes this special is because you can take back the last card you put back in the inkwell. So for Mickey fans out there, you might want to add this into your collection, but it's already fine so much in the meta. And that's every single Twisted Wonderland Lorcana card. I have reviewed and already double checked how good they are. I know this took longer than expected, but I hope everything's worth it in the end. And I hate to admit that if you don't play Lorcana TCG, but it could be entertaining for you fellas, it's fine regardless. I just want to hope you can learn it in general, and maybe one day you can play Lorcana TCG just for fun. With all that said, thanks for listening and watching this presentation, and this is Kai3212 signing off.